What up, chats?
I saw the title of this video. It's called Stop Acting Like Fiction Isn't Real by Jordan B. Peterson. Stop acting like fiction isn't real. I can only assume what head-ass stuff he's going to say. I believe it will start with like a metaphor, right? Like fiction. You can't call it fake because real people make it from their heads and minds, which experience real stuff. And so they can only, through referencing their real life, make something fake. That is the head-assery I expect. It doesn't make fiction real. It doesn't. That's interesting, though. You know, but I could just say like crazy stuff, and it wouldn't be true at all. I could say things that sound like lessons or wisdom, and them not be. You know, I could say all sorts of things, and it just wouldn't necessarily be true because I wrote it. Let's see what he says. I could be totally wrong. Hopefully it's he just changes my mind. Hopefully Jordan B. Peterson pilled. I think it'll work. He'll get us this time.
Our enemies confront us with what we don't want to.
I'd love to know who the enemies are. Probably me.
With what we don't want to see, and because of that, our first response is to use snake detection circuitry on them, and that accounts for our capacity, almost immediate capacity, to demonize. And there's a reason for that. It's not a trivial thing. First of all, it's a very fast response, and second of all, it's a response that has worked for a very, very, very long time. And
I'm going to assume snake circuitry is a reference earlier in the talk that this clip is from, where, like, just context clues. You see a snake in the grass, you're like, that's a threat. That's it. Look at that snake. Don't like it.
So, you know, one of the variants of the hero, and I would consider a variant of the hero like a fragment of the picture of God, is
the hero is a fragment of the picture of God, because of course God is just so much more than just a hero. He's everything. He's God. Not a Christian man.
Is the heroic warrior who slays the enemy, right? And of course, that's not precisely a politically correct representation of the hero in modern times. And well, and no wonder, but it's
politically correct. You can't slay nothing nowadays without these fucking liberals getting on you. I'm trying to be out here slaying, and they make fun of my wacky suits, and now I'm wearing a regular suit, and I look just sort of dumpy. I should have been in my wacky suit. I'm trying to slay out here, and they won't let me. Bring the lobster tie back.
still something that you go watch in movies all the time and admire, right? It's like this one of the most. How many plots are there? Romance and adventure. That's about it.
Romance and adventure. Would he say? If I said like a mystery thing, would he say like, well, you know, that's an adventure in a lot of ways, because you're going from not knowing something to knowing something. Like, you can just start to hear the Jordan Peterson shit fall out your mouth. If you just try to be like, hey, how could something be a thing that what if I just say stuff is what's change? What if everything's just adventure? You're saying a 3-body problem is an adventure. Is blood meridian an adventure? I guess it is.
Most of the adventure genre is, well, there's some enemy that's lurking in some form. It could be human, it could be alien, and someone rises up to go and confront it and maintain order. You know, it's like there's no getting away from that story. And if you don't have that in your own life, then you play a video game with to maintain order. There are
genres where order is definitely not the goal of just anything's the hero's journey, I guess. If you really think about it, think of before putting out more content. This is silly production of atheism. Can you believe it? Agree with him.
And it's still, well, really, right? It still captures your imagination. You act like someone who's possessed by religious fervor when you line up for 3 days to be the first one into the theater, you know?
I disagree that is anything akin to religious fervor. Like, it would be religious fervor if, like, you showed up to the theater every Sunday for 2,000 years expecting a movie to play, and you're like, this week the movie's gonna play, and then the movie just doesn't play, but you still buy tickets every week anyway. Like, and what if those tickets were like 10% of your income, you know? So every week you go to the movie theater and spend 10% of your family's budget, which you can use on stuff like lobsters, and then they just don't play the movie. You would demand at some point they play the movie, right, Jordan? But for some reason, there's a group of people who just, with religious fervor and insanity, right? Like doing the same thing, expecting a different result, go to the theater and they pay their 10% and they still have not, they've yet to see the movie. Wouldn't that be a wild practice? Pretty weird.
And all the while claiming that you're atheistic to the core. It's like,
I'm definitely atheistic to the core. Being excited to see, like, the conclusion to the Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 5. I don't know what phase it is. To be excited for that would be a stronger person than me. But would also be, like, just excitement for a thing that you know that you've experienced and you would wish to experience a new thing again. Like, you're just, entertainment is not an example of religious experience. Although, you know, going to a concert and really vibing and feeling it is not dissimilar to feeling it at a religious concert or event, like a chant. Same areas, your brain go off and shit, you sort of lose yourself in it. Human brains are fun.
okay, so this without,
Wait a second, you sons of bitches. Wait. Can't believe you would do this. You know better than anything. Put your lamps away after every stream, okay? You have no lamps. You're lampless. Lose yourself in what? The music, the moment?
form and void is this chaotic. So it's a hard thing to get a grip on, you know, what exactly this means. But I can give you another kind of example of how you would experience the formless chaos of potential in your own lives, and even how the order that you currently inhabit can dissolve into that. And you know, in Dante's Inferno,
We're 2 minutes in. We're only 2 minutes in, and I feel like he hasn't said a goddamn thing. Like, what chaos? What do you worry about? What chaos is entering your life?
when he outlined the levels of hell. So Dante was trying to get to the bottom of what constituted evil, really, in this representation. So it's a work of psychology, and he's thinking, well, there are various ways to...
Dante's Inferno is not a work of psychology. It is a work of fiction. And Felicia, thanks so much for gifting one to Aslan.
behave reprehensibly, but there's a hierarchy.
If he roaches on demand, that guy,
He have reprehensible behavior, and there's something absolutely
my lamp cowboy did nothing.
the worst at the bottom. And Dante believed that it was betrayal. And I think that's right, because, you know, one of the things that enables long-term cooperation, peaceful
The cameraman
cooperation between people is trust. And I would also say that trust is the fundamental natural resource. There's been some very good books written on the economic utility of trust, for example, in societies where the default economic presupposition between trading partners is trust tend to be rich, even if they don't have any natural resources. You can see that, for example, with what happened with eBay, which I think was a kind of miracle, because what should have happened with eBay was that you sent me junk and I sent you a check that bounced, right? And that was the end of eBay. But, right, exactly. But that isn't what happened.
I don't think that would have happened at all. Have you used eBay? You're incentivized to get stuff on eBay.
Happened. Like the default transaction on eBay was so honest that the brokers, you could hire brokers to begin with. I can't remember what they were called exactly, but you could
have all the information on
pay someone a fee so that they would guarantee the transaction. So, you know, you wouldn't send me junk and I'd actually send you a payment. And
this doesn't make any sense. There's no evidence to suggest that everyone is just have to scam everybody. The evidence actually suggests that under capitalism, most people are not trying to scam anybody, and those that do scam people are either... There's like two contingents of people. There's people that scam people outside of the written system, and they are, you know, they get sent to jail typically or they're on the run. And number two is how they allow people to rip them off within the system, and those people gain success. So it's just like, how little ethics do you want to have? Most people are a victim of this system. The evidence does not suggest that just random people are trying to do it. It's just the second. So this is, by the way, our system is set up to where the people with the, like, ambition to seek out control over other people is like, well, of course they're going to get it, because the people who don't want control over other people aren't seeking the positions of power that you have control over other people. So, like to a leftist, like, I don't want to be mayor, right? Who fucking wants to be mayor? I want to vibe. But, like, you know, the incentives for being mayor is being wealthy and having these political connections and enriching yourself. You know, getting business done. So of course it's a bunch of sociopaths running that shit, right? That was a slight
we pay 10% for someone to guarantee that. The default trade was so honest that those things vanished right away. And so that meant that all this frozen capital, roughly speaking, which were all the junk that people had lying around that someone else might want, instantly became money. And the only reason that worked was because people trusted one another. And so trust is an unbelievably powerful economic force, maybe the most powerful economic force. Anyways, if you have a relationship with someone, it's predicated on trust. Part of the reason for that is that trust is what enables us to look at each other without running away screaming. And what I mean by that is that if I trust you, then I don't have to take into account how complicated you are, because you're horribly complicated. You know, I think a chimpanzee full of snakes, that's what a human being is.
Okay, what's scarier, a bear or a chimpanzee full of snakes in the woods? What do you think? I think now Jordan Peterson's a chimpanzee full of snakes now.
And as long as you'll do what you say you'll do, then I can take you at your word, and your word simplifies you, and you can take me at my word, and my word simplifies you, and then we can act like we understand each other even though we don't. But then if that trust is betrayed, then all the snakes come forth very, very rapidly. And so all of you, I suspect, have been betrayed one way or another.
Have you? What an insane way to approach human interaction. Is like, I am just trusting you. So, like, it's such a negative position of everyone is keeping their snakes at bay. and we're all just like at a fucking like standoff, pointing at each other, walking through the fucking woods, keeping each other, you know, in check. That's crazy.
What happens if you're in a relationship?
Look at how many uncopped people we have in chat right now, and all of them are going to miss what Jordan's going to say.
Relationship with someone, and
transphobic chicken.
You trust them, then you make
coward, absolute coward. Walk the dog. You want a Hunter's Mercy? Thank you so much. And Rublum, you want a Crypto Spiridium? Look, there are heroes in chat, however, willing to make a change, make an impact.
certain assumptions about the past, you make certain assumptions about the present, and you make certain assumptions about the future. And everything's stable, and so you're standing on
How many snake you need to make a man?
solid ground. And the chaos, it's like you're standing on thin ice. The chaos is hidden. The shark beneath the waves isn't there. You're safe. You're in the lifeboat.
This guy's so fucking paranoid. Insane. This guy is Tony Robbins for paranoid guys.
But then if the person betrays you, like if you're in an intimate relationship and the person has an affair and you find out about it, then you think one moment you're one place, right? You're where everything is secure because you predicated your perception of the world on the axiom of trust. And the next second, you're in a completely different place. And not only is that place different right now, the place you were years ago is different, and the place you're going to be in the
I could
future
drink
years.
cum by the gallon load and never get pregnant.
That's awful. Or wasn't it? The gallon load? I would like to see a whole gallon.
Hence is different, and so all of
go
that
of it.
certainty, that strange
Rob Lum, you want a corn whale? Thank you.
in the future years.
We have a little momentum. It's been titillated.
Hence is different, and so
We've been here for 37 minutes.
all of that certainty, that strange certainty that you inhabit, can collapse into incredible complexity. And you say, well, if someone betrays you, you think, well, okay, who were you? Because you weren't who I thought you were, and I thought I knew you, but I didn't know you at all.
He's a one-man show, dude. He's going through a breakup right now in his own head. There. You can see it.
And I never knew you, and so all the things we did together, those were the things that I thought were happening. Something else was happening.
Wow. Not really. That's not how flimsy reality is. If you got cheated on, the other stuff was also happening. It's just in a different, the other it's like has Jordan Peterson ever seen a movie where they hide from you a certain character's perspective, and then at the end there's like a montage? Time he was here. This is exactly the same thing, except you got cucked. All this stuff is Tristan, thanks for Jordan's such a puppet. He sounds like a Kermit. Dr. Gambling with Minis. JP, where did I go wrong? Oh, no. Isn't that Cable Car? Are you JP Cable Car? That's got to be an AI thing. Has anyone made JP Jordan Peterson sing? Who was that band's name?